to the topic at hand. Let's start with what we know. We know that somebody, probably from the Biden administration, that's pretty obvious, and I think that's been confirmed, leaked very, very delicate and very important classified information, super classified information, the highest level of classification, involving Americans spying on Israel concerning Israel's plans to go after Iran in retaliation for Iran sending 200 missiles to Israel. Israel has announced that will retaliate. President Biden has said he knows when they will and what they will do and how they will do it, but he's not saying. But somebody in the administration is saying. And the two things that came out, obviously, one, we all knew that American spies on Israel, Israel spies on America. Every country spies on allies, particularly when you're in a tense situation like Israel and the United States are in today. So Israel should expect that it's going to be spied on by the United States and vice versa. But they shouldn't expect that the information obtained by the United States will be made public or sent to Iran. And that maybe explains why Israel has been reluctant to share information with the United States about their plans. When they blew up the pagers, they essentially told the United States as it was happening. The same thing with the killing of Nasrallah. Nasrallah's successor has now been killed as well. But Israel is wise not to specify times and places of sophisticated military and technological actions that require secrecy. And so the real question is who did this? And of course, my colleague Lawrence Tribe, he knows the answer. Of course, it was Donald Trump who did this, which is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, or somebody acting on his behalf. Obviously, I think it's being acknowledged already that it comes from within the Biden administration. And the question is who? And the real question is, will we find out? The FBI is on it, but the FBI is often on things in less than a fulsome way. An analogy might be to the leak of the Supreme Court decision overruling Roe versus Wade. It's still not been solved. You give me 30 days and subpoena power, and I could immediately figure out who leaked the Supreme Court decision. That was easy because there are only a few handfuls of people who had access to it and who could have leaked it. So, but they haven't found out. They haven't found out because they don't want to find out. They don't want to know, or they don't want the public to know. And the same thing may be true here. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that we'll find out. But it's very possible that the FBI will not do what it can do and turn over every rock and figure out who was the leaker. There are a lot of suspects, and if you go online, I don't want to repeat suspicions that are without any confirmation, but online apps and statements by many people have named individuals in the administration, individuals who have had known ties to Iran, ranging from Mali, who's was instrumental in getting the Iran deal enacted during the Obama administration, even to John Kerry. Obviously, John Kerry is not going to go around leaking any information. But these names have been put forward, in addition to obscure names of people who none of us has ever heard of. But if you go online, you'll see some of them have ties to the Muslim Brotherhood, to Hamas. There are lots of people in this Biden administration who shouldn't be in possession of classified material or have access to classified material. And I think Congress has hearings, and I think they will, probably not until after the election. But Congress should subpoena people and find out what their backgrounds are. How do they got security clearance? How did they ever get access to classified information if they have these known relationships with Iran, with Hamas, with others? Of course, the executive branch of the government is humongous. It's the largest branch. It's bigger than the legislative branch. It's bigger than the judicial branch. The executive branch has thousands and thousands and thousands of people in it. And they're all supposed to be vetted. They don't all have access to classified material, but many of them do have access to classified material. And the question is, should they? And the question is, what should happen to them if they reveal it? Let's just compare it to what happened to Jonathan Pollard. I was one of Jonathan Pollard's lawyers early on in his case. You may remember him. He was a kind of low-ranking naval officer. And he learned that Caspar Weinberger, the Secretary of Defense, had refused to provide Israel with information they were supposed to provide them under a memo of understanding. And Pollard basically took the law into his own hand and provided Israel with that information. He got life imprisonment and served over 30 years. And as a result of that, Several people were denied security clearance who had nothing to do with the case, just because they were born in Israel, or they had Israeli relatives, or they were deemed to be too close to Israel, and they were denied security clearance. Some of those cases actually made it to court. And the same standard has not been applied to people who have close connections now to the Muslim Brotherhood, to students for justice in Palestine, or students for injustice regarding Palestine, which is what I prefer to call them, students who have created so much havoc on campus, some of them calling for death to Jews, some of them calling for victory of Hamas and jihad. And there are apparently people in the Biden administration who have ties to these advocates of not only hate, but violence against Israel. And so the question is, who had a motive in the State Department, or in the White House, or in the Executive House, or other branches of government? Who might have had a motive to tip off the Iranians? And it's apparently worked. My understanding, and again, this is not based on any confidential information, is that Israel was intending to attack Iran before this, sooner, and well before the election. But these disclosures may have required Israel to slow down and reconsider. Obviously, it doesn't want to use a plan that Iran has. I've been told by some friends, these smart Israelis, they did this, and it's a false flag. They produce these fake information in order to mislead Iran. No, it's not the case here. This is real. And this really, really hurt Israel and the United States, because the United States is intending to support Israel if Israel listens to its request to respond in a more proportional and moderate way. A mistake in my view, but Israel makes that decision. My view is that Israel ought to use this as an opportunity to destroy Iran's nuclear weapons facilities. Whether it can do so without the help of the United States, I just don't know. I'm not a military expert, but I'm told that it could do a lot of damage to Iran's nuclear facilities. It could also do a lot of damage to its oil facilities.